Hi and welcome to this video. In this video I would like to share some of my thoughts about this recent little short film that I made with my friends. Because I am the filmmaker of the group, it was mainly my responsibility, but I do really like the fact that my friends want to do these kind of things because I think that is a lot of fun. And the second thing, before we get into it, the fact that this project is funded by me and my friends, which means that we have complete and total freedom of what we do and how we film everything, which is very different to a paid project, which made this project different compared to the other projects that I've done. So with those things said, let's now get into the first thing. And thought number one is your camera is shit unless the lighting is somewhat good. For instance, take this shot right now. I quite like how it's looking, and I know that it is because of the colors and the lighting. But I know that quite a lot of people think that this shot looks good because I have a freaking expensive camera. And yes, that is true a little bit, but it's not even half the story, because I have, unfortunately, been able to film some pretty shitty shit with this amazing camera. Which begs the question, what the hell? I thought I'd buy one expensive camera and I have unlimited amazing videos. Well, that is not the case. The real key seems to be lighting. We filmed this little short film at sunset in the forest like I'm right now, and it just looks amazing because it's nature and awesome lighting. What else could you ask for? So that's point number one. Lighting is more important than your camera, and I am trying to apply that to my paid shoots as well by investing a little more time into the lighting setup instead of all of the other camera stuff. That was point number one. Let's get on to point number two. So point number two is going to be really short, and this whole video in fact is going to be kind of short because, well, I don't want to drag it out unnecessarily. I think that is just a waste of anyone's time. But point number two is all about gimbals, and just the fact that gimbals work amazingly on wheels. What I mean by that is that when you use a gimbal, usually when you're walking, you have 3 axes stabilized, and that is amazing, but you don't have the 4th axis stabilized. 4th axis, that is the up and down axis. So, well, I'm not very good, I don't think so, at the smooth walk, which means that you always see a little bit of up and down movement. But in this little short film, we filmed from the back of a car, which meant that I didn't need to walk. And honestly, I'm so amazed by how smooth these shots were by using a gimbal in combination with a car. And because of this fact, I am now really considering a one wheel, which is one of those sort of skateboards with one big wheel. You can go anywhere with them. They look very fun, and in this case are also very well practical, right? Because the thing obviously with a car is I can't take a car inside, and a one wheel obviously can. So that was point number two. Let's move on to point number three. And point number three is all about creating a proper story, because in this short film we made the story up with our friends, which ends up having a lot of inside jokes in it, because, well, that is what happens when you create shit with friends. But it also meant that other people who are not in this group get like half of the jokes or the lines in the first place. Sometimes they're not even jokes, they're not inside jokes, but just inside things. And it is actually not only a danger when it comes to creating something with friends, but also with your team when you're working on a paid project, for instance. When you're working in one team and you create the story together, it is very much created in a bubble. So no one else outside of your little group has looked at it. So you all understand what you're trying to say, but other people don't. They have no clue where you're coming from. They don't know your story. They don't know your company story. What the hell are you going on about? That kind of made me think that it's probably a good idea to ask outside opinions. Just ask someone to read the script, or if they are willing to listen to you read them the script, and maybe then you can get some feedback on what makes sense to an outside person. And that way you could kind of get out of your bubble. So that was point number three. Let's get on to point number four. The sun has gone away, unfortunately. Kind of looks like the light is coming back, which would be amazing because it's starting to look like shit. And I'm kind of defeating the point of point number one. So lighting, yeah, there you go. Come on. Woo! So point number 2 is all about color grading and the kind of misconception that people have with color grading. That is some magical tool that makes shots look good, because that is just wrong in my opinion. To me it kind of seems like the equivalent of fix it in post for lighting. It again comes down to lighting. If you have just lit your shot bad, then you can do a lot of fancy stuff with masking and color grading to give it that color separation and teal and orange look, and that is great and stuff. But if you just light it in the first place, you can mostly get away with very simple color grade and it is gonna look great. And also when it comes to like, if your background is a little too dark and you just didn't add some light there in the first place, and now you're gonna do some fancy tracking lighting effects with insane no trees, and you fix it that way, well then you have just put in like 4 hours to fix a problem that could have been fixed in like 1 hour on set. They don't fixate on color grading, instead get back to point number 1, look at your lighting, make sure that that's all right, and then really if you have missed something, then you can like fix it in post or whatever. Now I just start to sound like someone who's whining about the way he's fixed his own problems in the past. Oh yeah, and one more thing. Do you know those before and after clips when you see log footage and then you see the graded clip and there's such a big difference? Wow, that shit looks amazing. It looked like garbage before, now it's great. That is also kind of bullshit, that whole before and after thing, because when you're shooting in log, I'm doing that too right now, you're intentionally shooting without saturation and contrast. So yes, it is gonna look super dumb. That is not the point, because with this way of shooting you get a lot of dynamic range. So it's not really fair to compare the log footage to the graded footage, because it is not like you fix something really special. You just added the original color science back in, so the contrast and the saturation. So it's just kind of like bullshit. I mean, I guess that the difference from a neutral image to a graded image does count, but from log to neutral or to graded, from log to graded, that's just bullshit. So let's move on quickly now to number 5. I feel like I have said this at one point or another, but sound design really is the shit. Compared to color grading, which isn't that important in my opinion, sound design, which is also in post, is amazing. And if you don't know, sound design is the process where you add the sound that fits with the images, and that way you can really make it come to life. For instance, right now I can add like the branches that are flowing in the wind and some bird sounds or whatever. And unfortunately, sound design is disregarded very often because it seems like a lot of work without any additional fancy features that anyone will notice. Well, you will notice it, but not like consciously. You will notice it unconsciously, and you will very likely be able to feel, even if you're not a filmmaker, that the whole video, film or whatever looks a lot richer and a lot more real, like it's actually alive, instead of when you make one of those corporate videos and just throw some dumb music behind it and that's it. My awesome lighting has gone to shit once again, unfortunately, but well, let's keep going. So the most amazing thing with sound design, I think, is that it is not difficult to learn. Well, sound designers will hate me for this, but it mostly comes down to just slapping all the sounds you can think of beneath the video that sort of fit with the video. And then you just have to tune the volume, and then you are nearly there. You can do a lot of things with EQ, pitch and all that sort of stuff. But well, that's maybe next level. I actually do have this tutorial channel, Jelte's Classroom, and I am thinking of creating a sound design course. So if you would be interested in that, you can subscribe over there. So the short answer is, don't forget about bloody sound design. Those were the 5 thoughts that came up when creating this short film with my friends. If you haven't actually seen the whole film, you can watch it in a few seconds. After I end this video, I'll play the whole thing. What you could also do is go to my Instagram and LinkedIn, where I post a lot of things a lot earlier than I do on YouTube. And there you can also watch the film. So with all my personal marketing out of the way, thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And until the next time.
Ja. Kijk.
What the fuck? Dit is het meest slechte idee wat ik ooit gehad heb.
Ik had geen idee wie deze persoon was.
Dan ben ik nog niet eens op de helft. Heb ik al moeite.
Maar achteraf schaam ik mezelf dat ik me met deze persoon heb ingelaten.
Komt er zo'n neerbuigende kakker met zijn verwaande reënloopje.
Ik ben conditioneel superb. Maar ik ben ook mentaal vele malen sterker dan hij.
Op van die dure hardloopschoentjes.
Dan hebben we het nog ineens over intelligentie. Dit doet me ook weer denken aan de basisschool, waarin ik toch stappen vooruit was op de andere gasten. Qua IQ was ik on another level.
Die kerel die loopt hard om de wereld te overtuigen van zijn welzijn. Nou, dan vraag je erom, vriend.
Doet me trouwens wel weer denken aan die mooie tijden. Ik was aan het hardlopen. Naar school op mijn 6-jarige leeftijd.